afternoon, everyone. I know it's in the afternoon, and we want to make it an engaging session as much as I can. Thank you very much. So today's presentation is about path to excellence through process improvement. The agenda shows two names, Shahad Al-Misani, Saud Al-Jabr, one of our young engineers in Saudi Aramco. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it due to some emerging business commitment, so I will be covering them for that. And I will start with a quick introduction about myself. My name is Ali Bazir from Saudi Aramco Fire Protection Department. I'm the head of e-governance and operational excellence group, and I'm lucky enough to be today at this session. There is some memories and history a little bit behind this presentation before we go ahead. If you allow me, I want to go through it. In 2018, I attended the first SIPC conference in my life. That was in Anaheim, Sheraton Hotel at that time. And I have seen multiple presentations, people presenting where our agency at that time were not accredited. And we were at the beginning of our accreditation journey with the Center for Public Safety Excellence. So, if you allow me, if you would like to ask questions, do we have any agency member where they just started their accreditation process or they are about to start? If there is anyone, I just want to see some hands. Excellent. I'm glad that you guys are here because you will see a real example of an organization that started similar to your position. We face the same challenge that you guys will be facing. And gladly, for 2 days, we were able to make it. This year marked a very important year for us, where we become officially an accredited agency by the commissions, and for that I would like to thank the Center for Public Safety Excellence Management, our wonderful peer assessors and the team leaders, and our commissioner for sure. Before we could go ahead with the presentation, I would like to give some overview because I see this is a golden opportunity to give an overview about our company and our country as well about our department. So, have anyone heard about Saudi Aramco company, first of all? Tim, thank you. Thank you very much. So, Saudi Aramco is one of the largest energy providers to the world. And it has been publicly listed in the stock market back in 2019. And that gives us more of a uniqueness when it's come for the accreditation. Our department is considered to be the biggest department among the 250 departments in the company in terms of manpower. We are consist of more than 2,000 employees. Our mission is to save lives and protect assets by providing effective fire protection services by a highly skilled workforce and reliable equipment and technologies. Basically, this is the map of the kingdom, and we are consist of 7 divisions, where 6 of our divisions are considered to be operation, mainly about fire and rescue divisions, and we have 1 engineering and training services division that support all of these kingdom-wide. To make it simple, there will be another slide to give more of the number of the fire stations. We have 54 fire stations distributed across the kingdom with more than almost 2,000 employees plus, and we had 17 fire training facilities kingdom-wide to support our operations. To make that picture in simple, this is basically the kingdom with the United States, so you can understand a little bit how is the magnitude for our operations. So what is process improvement? Before we start, just some ideas. Is there any process improvement mindset that is in your head that you want to share?
Like lean.
Lean, I will be going for that. Excellent.
Six Sigma.
Six Sigma. So process improvement in a nutshell is basically what each organization must perform to accomplish excellence. But if you would like to put this in a definition, it's a proactive approach first of all. So it's not a reactive approach. We need to start with a proactive in mind in order to identify, analyze, and improve upon existing business processes within an organization for optimization and to meet our new standard of quality. But there is important things. This process is a never ending, and that's why we prefer to call it continuous improvement, because it is not a project, it is a process, and the process keeps continuing. We'll start with some history about that. The continuous improvement minds has been started from the Japanese world, from the chief engineer of Toyota, Kiichiro Hono, and he started with a word called Kaizen, which basically consists of two words. Kai, which is basically change, and Zen, which is for better. And it's basically a wonderful tool that has been deployed by different agencies and departments worldwide. We have Toyota, Apple, Disney, Google, Amazon, Motorola, and even Ford and different companies and agencies worldwide. When it's come to the benefit, there are multiple benefits if we were able to implement a proper process improvement. We can have a cost reduction, and I'm sure every agency with the current financial condition would seek opportunity for cost reduction. Also increasing our efficiencies on our day-to-day activities, increasing our reliability and availability, and I'm sure every agency would appreciate that, and eliminating the redundancy of the processes and risk, and enhance for sure our safety. Process improvement had multiple drivers, and there are multiple benefits if we were able to achieve that in order to improve our efficiency for our people, as they are considered to be the main assets, our processes, assets, and time consumption. There are multiple examples of the process improvement tool. I have been hearing Lean, Six Sigma. We'll start with the Kaizen, plan, do, check, and adjust. The 8 type of waste that Toyota has been identified, the Six Sigma, the histogram, the cause and effect chart, which is named by Fishbone, implementing the 5 whys, asking 5 times why, until we reach to the root cause, and the Pareto analysis. When we started this, I just want to give some history about myself. So I'm an industrial engineer with a master's degree in engineering management. I have been lucky enough to have been rotated across my 13 years in Saudi Arabia in multiple departments, supply chain, accounting, special audit. Then I have landed my aircraft and the fire protection. So when I came with that mind, I have been hit with the main eyes in front of me is basically, we are operation. We cannot implement Six Sigma, it's very difficult. We have challenges. Our operation is not similar to an engineering. And I will be sharing throughout the presentation a real life example of implementing these tools in our fire protection agencies. We'll start with the 8 type of waste. The Japanese had started, especially Toyota, with the what they call it MODA, the 8 type of waste. It used to be 7, but in the 1990s they added a very important type of waste, which is the untapped talent, and I will start with it. In every organization, we have our skills of our employees. Some of the employees were not been even given the chance to unleash their potential. They were not been put in the right position, and this is considered to be a major waste. Another waste is defects, and defects is very well known. If you have a process, or you have a product, or you have a service that you provide your customer, community, and the fire emergency, if that process has not been designed in the right way, for sure, it will be considered as a waste, as it's considered to be a defect. Overproduction, producing more than what the customer is looking for. For example, our main core production is to, for example, to create an annual compliance report. We are doing this in annually basis. Overproduction is basically you are doing it on a monthly basis, just for the sake to meet a certain requirement. This is considered to be a waste in terms of resources and manpower. Waiting for an email to be sent. I will just give an example. Back in 2014, when the company moved from being an oil and gas provider to be the energy provider, we have been launched and anchored on a very important accelerated transformation program, and one of that enabling element was basically streamlining our processes. If you couldn't imagine, an employee vacation would require a unit head approval, supervisor, division head, and a manager. That was an example of waiting your vacation in order to be approved. The company has changed this, and they implemented the proper chain of command and they streamlined the processes, and it's now a matter of a click and you can do it electronically. Transportation, moving the, for example, moving the equipment projects from place to place might cause for a defect, might cause for a lead time, and might cause also for reducing our efficiencies. Inventories, and I'm sure if we have accountants in the room, they would love this. Inventory for them is a well-known inefficient allocation of budget. Having just in case in mind is something that accountants usually hate. So in our emergency response, we need to create a balance between just in time and just in case. And we need to make sure that we have the optimum level for inventory in order to support our operation. Motion is very clear. You want to get things moving on, you're waiting for an email, for example. If you want to print something, you need to move until the verifier. This is moving of resources will create frustration between employees. Over processing. You just need a simple report. You are doing multiple pages instead of one page. This consumes time, consumes resources and energy. So, if we were able to identify the waste in our organization, in our project, in our services, there are multiple tools that we can use in order to improve. A simple tool, what they call it the BDCA, the plan, do, check, and adjust. And gladly, the self-assessment model that the Center for Public Safety offer is something that we have been implemented in our department throughout this model. And I will be sharing a couple of examples in the upcoming slides. So this is an example of the process improvement implementation. When we started this back in 2018, there was a major pushback. Let us focus on our operation. We are not free enough in order to do process improvement. We know our business. It is very hard for us. You guys are engineers. We don't have any engineers in the operation. I will be sharing with you a couple of examples that has been done by our firefighters and engineers together. It's not only an engineering discipline. And some of these were been able to be registered as a patent. First of all, the aircraft rescue firefighting, one of our core requirements to support our industrial services. This ARF has been fabricated by our employees in Kingdom, and we have been able to save a total of 2.5 million rather than procuring it from a contractor. This is a good example of where we were able to increase our competency for our people in terms of the training. Another example is basically the industrial confined space. In every industrial facility, we need to train our people, and we previously used to face some difficulties by providing these type of props for them to be trained on. The vehicle extractions props. This is something that has been developed internally. This is behind our Advanced Fire Training Center. This is developed by our people, not by contractors. And this is saved the money and increase the competency of our training for our people. From the office-based, we have an innovation committee. Previously, that committee used to send in multiple emails. Each employee need to send the email to his supervisor to review the email, how it would look like by the innovator once he submits his innovation. This is an example. Now it's become automated rather than manual paperwork, and even generating our certification. As one of our mandates, we need to train our employees in the department as well as our customer, communities, and major other departments. We call them component. For example, upstream and downstream. So we used to have difficulties in order to extract their data report, and that was basically a 1 week of finishing one type of certificate for 2,000 employees, and now it's a matter of a click by our employees. So before we go to the governance, and I'm sure people would like to see, okay, how we can sustain this. I would like to give an example. Since we are in the afternoon, I would like to keep this session as engaging as possible. In every table, there will be a blank paper. So you don't need a pen, by the way. You just need to have the paper. Okay. So, if you allow me, I will try to be the boss. And the beauty of being a boss is basically your commands are always clear. And you cannot repeat it because it's always clear. A boss, always right. So if you allow me, I will try to be a boss for 2 minutes. So, I want everyone to hold the paper. Number one. You don't need a pen. You just need to close your eyes. Once you close your eyes, just Okay, so I will be giving a command, and that command cannot be repeated. And then we'll see the purpose of having a governance and some operating procedures. So, pen the paper. Tend the paper from the upper corner. Pen the paper again. Make another tier from the lower corner while you are closing your eyes. And if possible, make a middle hole. That's the beauty of being a boss. You get directions. Your direction is always clear. And now I just want you to open your eyes, have your paper up, and let's see which paper is correct. So, Chief, I think you have the correct one. Commission. As you can see, there is no simple format for a one unified project. What do you think the purpose for that? Why do we have the boss was wrong? Or the process wasn't clear? What do you think the reason behind this? Thoughts? More details? Do we know what was the end of the project before we start the process? Did they give you a guideline? Was there any standard operating procedure of how we perform this process? This is the beauty of governance. We have witnessed when we don't have a governance, when we don't have a process for us to implement the process improvement, this is what will happen. Everyone will do a project and then we put the blame on the people, not in the boss for sure. This is basically what will happen. A world without standard, it is like Christmas. I know it's tedious, it might take time to develop processes, standard of cover, and others. But without these steps, important steps, people will perform like everyone will be in silence. And we want to avoid that in our process improvement. So in Saudi Aramco, we have developed our governance model. And because we are engineers, we love chemical equation. Do we have any chemistry people with a chemistry background or love chemistry space? Okay, I have some chemistry equations over here. I need someone to help me. So S plus C equal E. S for what? Guess. Okay. There is no wrong answer. Safety? Okay. S for standardized. Have a standardized process first of all. And C? Compliance. Sorry? Compliance? Okay. It's basically comprehensive. Once you have a standardized process, try to make sure it's comprehensive. And the beauty, when we started the accreditation, we have evaluated multiple accreditation bodies worldwide. And we found out that the Center for Public Safety Excellence model has been comprehensive to cover our core competency in the department and core business in order to reach to excellence. So this is basically like a formula that we believe and we implement, and you will be seeing some example in the upcoming slides about governance and how we do governance. So the department and each department in Saudi Aramco has been mandated to develop their own operational excellence model. And that was in 2015. And each organization will develop that model, which consists of at least 13 enabling elements. And that enabling element might match certain categories in the self-assessment of the Center for Public Safety Excellence Accreditation. Started with leadership and accountability, customer focus, human resource, asset management, process management, which is basically our core function. For example, in our department, emergency response is one of our core functions, fire training, fixed system, and others. Financial resources, which is a very important element. External services, policies and strategies, information and documentation management, change management, risk management, innovation, and learning. And you can see continuous improvement need to be embedded in the organization for it to be sustainable and continued. And the final and very important thing, corporate social responsibility. Under each enabling element, we have sub-processes. Out of these 13 enabling elements, we have 33 OE processes company-wide. So if you go to finance, you will see the same processes. If you go to engineering, upstream, downstream, the same processes are there, but customized for their operation. And each department customize their need based on that OE processes. The continuous improvement, we believe in order to start with this cycle, there are some high-level processes. We need to identify and prioritize our improvement opportunity as the beginning, using, for example, the 8 type of waste, the plan, do, check, and adjust, the lean thinking, the Six Sigma, any other tools. Then we select the improvement approach and plan improvement. And then we implement the improvement and evaluate results throughout quarterly review meeting with the stakeholders. And then we need to communicate the achievement in order to sustain improvement. This is basically a part of this OE process. So in that OE process, we have the OE process name, the process owner, the issue date, and this is the plan, do, check, and adjust. And under each plan, the sub-details processes, which is basically allowing the process owner who's managing this process to be able to run the process. So for example, Ali leave the department and there is a new candidate, we can maintain that the process will be smart, but not the people. And this is how we can transfer the knowledge. And then under each process, we'll have the related responsibilities. People knows what they are expecting to do. And then we have the references, whether it's standard operating procedures, general instructions, internal policies, or an FBA standard, for example. And then we have the performance metrics, which is something I know people usually not like. But this is the KPIs part, where you need to have your numbers. So this is a high-level OE processes. If we go through our manual, there are multiple pages that explain this high level. So the way we do continuous improvement in Saudi Aramco, we do it by structuring, first of all, a team that are responsible for the continuous improvement. Because if you don't have a dedication, it's basically become a process, a project, where people will do it for promotion or for other purposes and they leave and everything is not sustainable. So we create a team, and that team, we build that model and that follows. First of all, we need to have a champion, which is basically from our group, the governance and operational excellence. And then we have to put a project champion, a process owner, which is managing the OE process, and a process SMEs. And these two areas are from our operation. For example, in the area of the ARF ROPS, basically we used to have the project champion was our fire training section head, and the process SMEs is basically people from our operations. Then we need to make it a project, not a haphazard. Like by the end of the year, oh, I have some budget, let's do improvement. No, we need to have a project plan. From the beginning of the year, you need to identify your gaps in order to be closed. And that's why we have a project charter. This is an example of one of the project charters that we implement, which is similar to the Six Sigma model, but we try to simplify it. This is where you put the project name, and then you have some project profile where you have the process SME's name. You will put the start and the end, the represent person and the key personnel. Then we will be asking some questions about the importance. Is it related to the customer? Is it related to an OE processes? Is it a part of our business plan? And then we need to identify the current problem statement. Where we stand. Is this an issue? Why? How critical we need to improve that? And what is the expected improvement? Then we need to put the project objective and the expected improvement in the KPIs. And then we put the milestone and a high level. If this project would require a budget, right away it goes to the manager for approval during the business plan. Without having the manager approval, we will not be able to implement. That's why we need to review as a compliance and operations excellence group all these project charters to make sure they are relevant, important, and we have secured the resources required in order to implement the process. Controls, it's very important. We need to have controls by realizing the benefit behind this project, whether it's financial or process implementation, for example, increasing our KPIs, our efficiencies, or others. From the company perspective, we started our journey to excellence by multiple seeking excellence award. So for example, we have our President Operational Excellence Award at the company, which is considered to be internal award by the company. Usually our CEO recognizes the best two departments in the company for their operational excellence model. Gladly we were able to reach the 4th level and the 3rd level, and hopefully we'll be within the upcoming cycle within the 1st or the 2nd. This is very important. Seeking international accreditation was one of our dreams that we come true before 2 days. We have been started by evaluating international agencies to accredit our core businesses because we believe continuous improvement is never ending. Even if you have internal recognition, we need to go globally. And that's why we seek the Center of Public Safety Excellence, and in the 2024 we will be going for the European Foundation of Quality Management Award as well. We have our national King Abdulaziz Quality Award, which is on a national level at the kingdom. And we are applying this year, just now, while we are at the conference, for that award. And finally, recognizing our processes. We are currently in the process of getting the ISO 9001 Quality Management System, the 22301, the Business Continuity, and we are evaluating even the safety for the upcoming year. And now this is the fun part, which is basically the ending of the presentation. I'd like to open the floor for questions. So if someone asks us, because we are an engineer and we usually love equations, if you can put this in an equation, this is the chemical equation. We need to have M plus P in order to have operational excellence. M stands for management. We need the management for sure. P stands for process owner. We need people commitment. OE stands for operational excellence. But does this chemical equation balanced in terms of the atoms? For sure it's not. We need the management support. Without the management support, we'll not be able to do it, because if there is no support from management and top management, we will be facing some obstacles. We need the people engagement. If our process owner do not believe in the process and the continuous improvement, we'll not be able to make it. And in order to move from operational excellence to a culture of operational excellence, we need to have the catalyst, a dedicated group to be managed the operational excellence in the organization rather than it's become an individual effort. With this, I reach to the end, and thank you very much. I tried to make it simple for questions for people to ask. Thank you very much. Question and answer. Was it so quick?
I'll ask you a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
Basically the one that I asked the other day, your key performance indicators, you have different levels. Can you tell us about that just a little bit?
Sure. I was preparing a hidden slide for that. So I want to give, first of all, before we go and talk about the structure, I want to give an example of the Dhahran Fire Control Unit when we get accredited. So this is the company CEO. Then we have what we call it the business line, which is basically a senior VP level. We have the upstream, downstream, technical services, HR and corporate services, and then we have finance and law. Under the HR and corporate services, which we call it the admin area, usually a VP level, you will have the corporate affairs, community services, safety and industrial security, industrial services, human resource. And under the safety and industrial security, we have our department. We have the fire protection, then we have loss prevention, our sister organization that manage safety company-wide, and then we have the industrial security services. Under the fire protection department, we have our 7 divisions, as I've seen in the previous presentation. And then we will deep dive in the Dhahran area, which is the accredited division, and you will see the Dhahran Fire Control Unit and the other groups. For each level, we have a KPIs that start from lower bottom, then it goes reported to a higher, then it goes to a higher. And if the manager was able to select some of these KPI by a VP, it goes even to a senior VP than a CEO. So under each unit, in order to make sure we measure the performance, each fire chief will be having a KPIs and target for his own operation based on his previous historical record. And for example, the emergency response. We will have an emergency response for that fire control unit, and if you go, for example, at Gate or Ras Al Noor, under each fire control unit will see the same KPI, but for their own record. These all get together allocated and then sum up at the department level and even at the division level. And every quarter we meet with the management team and each division head go with the performance. We call it the OE day or the performance dialogue meeting. And we report our performance with the root cause analysis and the action item. If there is any gap, we try to work out together, whether a benchmark or we go to a better agency. For example, in 2020 we have visited Fairfax and we have reviewed our fire training competency gaps with their fire training and even the emergency response. And one of the good news is basically the 90th percentile, which is something that Carl and Musa'id, when we started the accreditation, we used to report our emergency response on average, 50% percentile. And when we attended the training, I do remember that back in 2018, we used to have a major glitch between a JavaScript coding and C++ Fortran. CIPSI is looking for 90th percentile, and we have 50% percentile. To create this KPI, we need to get the approval from the senior VP, manager for this only one KPIs, because this KPI has been allocated to a higher level and been reported to the company CEO. So what we did is, in order to avoid that, we started on the back scene. So we have started with the 90th percentile at a department level only, and we give it a trend of 5 years. If we have tested the KPI and it shows a maturity, then it will be on the VP dashboard. And it will replace and we are anticipating in 2024, the average will be replaced with the 90th percentile. And we have, for example, safety KPIs, lost time injuries. Gladly, our last 3 years record has been 0 LTIs. We have a major effort in that in order to reach to that level. Our competency index for our employees, their training requirement, their training qualification, we track it. And if we go and, for example, we take that process, so this is the 12.6 OE process managed by our group. You will see, for example, these are the KPIs. Sorry. So we have percentage of area of improvement, FEI completion rate. This is at the department level. So each unit and each CI champions will be reporting this on a quarterly basis, and we track it. We have a full dashboard. Unfortunately, I don't have access to our internal system, but we have a full dashboard that we track these KPIs from a unit level, department level, and if it goes to a VP, we track it as well. And then we have for example, the realized OE benefit, whether financial or efficiency enhancement. This KPIs, you will see it even in one of our processes about finance. Our planning team will be sharing the budget and they share the percentage of cost saving with the management. So this is a sample of the KPIs. So was I able to explain it well?
If you allow me, just another clarification. If you look at this process now, this is specific to continuous improvement, and it has multiple KPIs. These are enabling elements KPIs. KPIs specific to one process: management of change, finance, continuous improvement, innovation. for example, public education. So these are very specific. We have up to 78, I believe, KPIs specific. We have about 78 KPIs specific to very specific processes like management change, continuous improvement. These are enabling elements based on these 13 enabling elements that Ali showed a while ago. These are different from our focus area KPIs, things that measure our performance as a fire department. Response time, continuous competency, safety, stuff like that, specific to overall department operation. So, for example, in our the community risk documents that we submitted, we do not submit any labeling element KPI, only focus area KPIs. These are the ones, usually the expected fire department KPI as a department performance.
And to that also, just give you an example.
Okay.
Now we become accredited. The team in Bahrain are working on adding a section in the new OE manual under the process of 12.6 continuous improvement, the CIPSI accreditation. We will be having a KPI about the recommendation closures. Well, are they on time, on track? And also we will be having a KPI about the annual compliance report. And we want to make sure that this is a part of that process, because if we didn't do this, it will not be continued. And the team are currently evaluating whether we'll put it under 12.6 as a standalone process, or it will be added a part of the emergency response. Questions? We still have 10 minutes. Go ahead.
So, Father, we got a couple seconds. What struggles did you have with culture and with processes as you walk through self-assessment?
Wonderful. Very challenging questions, but it deserve the answer. When we started the process as an accreditation team, it used to be between only 4 people. We have been hated, we have been pushed back, and I will be very honest, I will tell you the truth. Some of the, especially Bahrain area, the division that we started the accreditation with, we used to have a multiple pushback. The good news is, when we started this process, we started our application submission back in 2017. One full year, the accreditation was in the ICU, dead, because it was a process managed by a person. It was an idea, came by a person, that guy retired, and it's out. Then, the team revisited the process by a new manager, and he said, I want to continue with that. And that's why I said, in order to succeed, you need to have the management support. And the smart idea is, we put CIPSI a part of our business plan. And we put a 3-year business plan with milestone, with our applicant phase, candidate phase, even the cost. Once we put it in the business plan, no one can change it. Even if the manager moved and someone comes, he needs to justify that to the VP and to the senior VP. And people don't want to justify this. They will accept. This is a part of the culture. So once we have it in the business plan, people get committed. Then we assign a team, a task force. We used to have people that don't want to work. I'm good in operation, I don't want to do this. Gladly, we were able to have a solid teamwork that share the same interest. We want to improve our department by the international accreditation. Gladly, we have Tim, we have Adham, we have Saeed, our superintendent, Musa'ad al-Da'alij. We have everyone in the team. But the common things, I remember a good presentation yesterday by my colleague Michael, when he said, in order to have everyone's support, you need to have the people with competency and the willing. So combining these two things, which is the second equation, you need to have the people engagement. If the accreditation team is not being engaged, as an accreditation manager, you will suffer alone. You need to have a team. So when we started with the team, Tim used to send people, the category owners, give me your updates. Where you stand? Rejection. No one is doing anything. Then we bring CIPSI to be a part of our quarterly review meeting, where the VP and the manager will be seeing our performance and progress. And this is where people become more engaged. Until we have the accreditation visit of the peer assessor a year before, things were basically almost a maturity level. But still people were afraid, is it an assessment or an audit? And shall we say everything, or we keep quiet? Is it an opportunity to improve, or this is a gap closure? So gladly, we were able to have a great mentorship Steve Olson and Derek. They supported the team and they visited us and they let them understand that this is your opportunity to improve. It's not an audit. And they listen and care, and that's a beauty. And we were lucky to have a great peer assessor who's joining us today, Matt, Amy, and Ellen. And Mike sent his regards and appreciation. He's on the airport now. But they were able to identify not area for improvement. They were able to identify recommendation to help us to improve forward. And I want them to explain to you, rather than me, how they feel when we meet in the debrief meeting. When we receive our recommendation, imagine yourself, you are receiving a recommendation, someone from outside are telling you your gaps. You have these gaps. How do you guys see that during the debrief? Because I remember when by the time you guys been leaving, they hate me, but they love me. So I don't know what happened. It's basically everyone in the room were basically appreciating the open mind, the recommendation. And we have seen now through the accreditation facilitators, everyone is putting action. Actually, we started before we go and present in the hearing. We start to close a lot of the recommendations that are considered to be done within 2022 now. And we put plan either for 2023 and 2024. So culturally, I would call it like an attack attacking your body. Your white cells will start to attack right away, but you need some time. And a good example also the COVID shot. You know that you put the virus inside your body, but you still are accepting it. So it's a good protection to you to take some time, get the people engagement, and then you will see the fruitful outcomes. It will never be a good blessing from the beginning. There is some challenge. There are some, just to let you know, the 90th percentile, we used to report it only by minutes, not even second. In order to add a second, it took us 2 years to get another department, corporate IT, to add this to the system. There are some challenges that we go through, but because we added the SIPSI in the business plan, other organizations will respect that because there are a higher level dedication for this. Carl, did I answer the questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions? We still have 3 minutes.
Sir,
Yes.
so how long has the company been around and what's your most senior employee? I just want to follow up on the culture question here. You know, change is a hard thing to do, right? And so I'm just curious, the employees and are the employees that you have, are they like the traditional American Fire Service where people come in and they've been there for 20 plus years? I'm curious about all of
We
that.
have an American fire chief with us. And Timothy Alami, can you answer?
So culturally, I think we've had some struggles, and what I'd say is, you know, we came in there, and you think of traditionally in the Middle East, the role of fire protection was thought of as a sanitation worker or something like that. And that was one of the things when we first came is, to go back to 2015, it was all right, we want to change the culture, we want to put pride and ownership into the firefighters, we want them to be proud, we want them to be educated, we want to equip them with the right things. And so whenever we got there, we really hit the ground running hard. They've got a fellowship program, which some people are aware of in the United States, where we send some of our top firefighters, and they come to places like Atlanta, San Diego, Arkansas to get their feet on the ground and get some good fire experience and some exposure to the Western Fire Service. Bring them back, and then we get into the improvement process, and we get into the CPSE. That was a culture shock. It was a heavy resistance from the operations. And Adham here can attest to some of the things that I faced. But what we did is, you know, we put together a training program. We started with a building block approach. We got down to the lowest level firefighter and teach them what CPSE is, why it's important, how does it benefit you, what is the different components, why does a CRA and SOC, why does a one-year firefighter need to know the CRA and SOC, why is that important? And after we did that, after we had some long exposure, just good dialogue, communications meetings, it really seemed to come around and they started understanding it better. Our biggest hurdle was risk assessment process, because the way that we do risk assessment is quite different than the way it's kind of outlined in the platform here. But cultural differences, you know, I think we overcome those through communication and just having a building block approach and not dump too much too quickly. So succeeded for now. So.
True. In addition to that, in 2018, we have developed our strategic reformation program. And one of the key pillars and focus area, we call it the culture of fire protection. Because we used to have community pushback, employees pushback, and we have reached to a better culture in 2019, where we have revisited the program, and we call it strategic reformation. And the culture has been embedded under our fire frontline leadership. And it took us some time, but as long as you have everyone commitment in that equations, you will be able to reach that. Usually, if we will take the example of the Operation Excellence Manual, we started in 2015. By 2018, we were able, in a scale, to reach to a maturity level. From 0 to 4, we were able to score 2.34 on our self-assessment. And SIPSI took the same time, usually 2 years, 3 years. And now, once we become accredited, although the accreditation announcement was in a different time zone, everyone in the kingdom, from our department, was waiting to hear this. And this shows people engagement. Although it was almost 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, people were awake, although they have a duty 7 a.m., waiting to hear this news. Previously, they used to be a stranger. Now they want to enjoy the process, and everyone wants to implement this. We started with Bahrain, and we're taking to Bahrain. Adham, for example, is a fire captain in Bahrain, and now he is a future ambassador for this process. So this is usually how we try to go with that culture of change. Thank you.
The company has been around since 1930.
And our department will launch August or September 1980. The Fire Protection Department. I think I reached to the end, and I will be around. If anyone have questions, I will be more than happy to answer.